Good afternoon and welcome to Intangify. Intangify is a podcast where we talk about the intangible aspects of business. I'm your host, Matthew Asbell. I'm an intellectual property attorney, which is one aspect, one intangible aspect that businesses deal with. But my guests, as you'll see today, and as we've seen in many other weeks, really run from lots of different walks of life and address intangibles from very different perspectives. My guest today is Maurice Bretzfield, and Maurice and I have very different views of the world. So we have a good time bumping heads against each other, and hopefully we'll do that for you today. But Maurice, please say hello to everyone and maybe tell everybody a little bit about your background, where you got started. I know that you're a digital marketing consultant and you help people strategy on marketing, and we're going to talk about that in detail. But tell us a little bit about who's Maurice.
Well, thank you for having me, Matthew. It's a real pleasure to be here. And as you said, you and I come from different perspectives. I started my career as a young man, went out to Asia in 1971 and began importing garments, apparel. I found people who wanted to sell me very low cost acrylic sweaters for 25 and 30 cents a piece. And I did that prices went up, of course, over the years, but I did that for 20 years or so. It was time to, my father had a great expression. It says, it was every now and then, every man needs to repot himself. I mean, take this plant, put it in a bigger pot so it can grow larger. And I saw the internet come along in 93, 94 and dove in. Have been doing internet marketing projects ever since. I retired some years ago. I freelance today. I keep a couple of clients at all times, paying clients. And of course, as you know, I'm a mentor with an organization called score.org, that offers free and unlimited small business mentoring advice to businesses all over the United States. We're part of the Small Business Administration, funded by Congress, and it's something I really love to do. Every client's a new challenge, and I learn something from every client. So that's pretty much what I do. I keep a website called Digiquation.io, which is a platform for me to do a lot of writing. There's a lot of articles there, spanning from international intellectual property law to and how AI is affecting it, or to how you can use AI in your business to compete against bigger rivals because you're acquiring more knowledge than they are. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
So how do your clients, the paying clients that find you, how do they find you through Digiquation?
I do a lot of blogging on LinkedIn. And frankly, at this point, I'm relying on word of mouth. I have the luxury of being able to work with clients that I want to work with. And, I've been fighting business battles all my life with people, and I no longer need to, nor wish to. And it's word of mouth, one client to the next, which is the best way to acquire clients. Word of mouth, there's nothing better.
How would you describe or characterize your clients? Are they big businesses? Are they entrepreneurs? Are they from particular places or industries?
The answer, are they particular industries? No. I seem to have fallen into a niche at this point. I represent a client that harvests live willow stakes and wild seeds that are used in the state of Washington for riverbank restoration projects.
Oh.
It's fascinating. I'm learning, all of a sudden I'm learning stuff that I never imagined I would be learning about. It's a big industry here. Our waterways in Washington State are vital to our economy and ecology. Salmon is a huge industry, and opening up riverways for salmon to migrate and spawn is projects that are taken on by the federal government through the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Washington State Department of Transportation. All of the counties have their restoration projects, so it's working with government, which is kind of a pleasure because they pay real well, very easily. Another client of mine is an attorney in Northern California who specializes in disputes amongst property owners because trees that were planted 40, 50 years ago have grown to the point where they're blocking the neighbor's view, and how to resolve those disputes without litigation, which is Richard's selling point. He doesn't want to go to trial with these things. So those are the kinds of things I'm currently working on. I've had clients ranging from Disney to Sony to you name it over my career. And right now I'm very comfortable in what I'm doing. I'm learning a lot about trees.
Well, I mean, trees and seeds. That's
trees
stuff
and
that
seeds. Yeah. How this is done is the riverbank restoration is very interesting stuff. It really is.
That's not stuff that I've been exposed to much. So it's
no, I wasn't either until about a year ago. I never knew it existed. So we're having a lot of fun with that.
So if people are coming to you for digital marketing help, right? I mean, you've talked about clients who are governmental clients. You talk about an attorney. I mean, these are very different types of clients with very different kinds of needs. So how do you approach? What is your approach to the various different types of clients who come to you, and why they should come to you?
My approach is to sit closely with the new client, discover what they're currently doing, what their objectives are. Digital marketing is digital marketing, and I don't care if it's trees or shoes. Some niches are more competitive than others, obviously, but it really doesn't matter to me. There's so much electronic help out there, and we're going to get into that today, to discover niches and who's competing where and how, and finding the right social networks that apply to a particular customer base, and customizing a solution that's unique to the client. And as I've said, I've dealt with a wide variety of clients during my digital marketing career, and I'm very focused on numbers and analytics, and finding those niches where the action is that a particular client can use to their advantage. I prefer to train in-house personnel rather than outsourcing to agencies and teaching people how to acquire their own digital assets, which is something we're also going to talk about here today.
Yeah, so you've definitely queued up a few of the topics that I want to delve into a little bit more. I think before I get into any of those specifics, I wanted to ask one more question, which is about you and your approach, and I guess let me see if I can frame it in a way that's clear. When I've spoken to people who do marketing, who do marketing for others, for clients, and I think you even alluded to this when you talked to your and you got a greeting from Kenny Soto saying hello.
Hello, Kenny.
But when I talk to people who do marketing, many of them talk about, I got to listen to my client, listen to where they are, what they're trying to do. we need focus. There's very much focus on the target audience and the right place to be or places to be to reach that target market. And at the same time, you're doing that for these clientele. That there is you who has to do it for you. And so you mentioned, right, how does Maurice get found by his clients? But you've talked about, I have this very broad range of clientele. So when people don't necessarily have a particular industry or they have a wide reach like you do, and like I do, how do you counsel them and plan with them for their marketing if it's not so easy for them to say, oh, well, this is the target place where I should be, this is the right platform for this kind of demographic that is the right client for me? Did I say that clearly?
Yeah, I
Maybe not.
I have an operation that, as I mentioned, I prefer to build internal teams for a company because the domain knowledge becomes theirs rather than outsourcing it to an agency where the agency is learning from what they're doing for the client and the client's not learning, and they become dependent on agencies for the rest of their lives, whereas they should be building internal knowledge, what you call Intangify and what I call the digital assets, intangible assets. A company used to be, go back 30 years ago, a company was valued based on their plant and equipment, inventory, and to some degree, goodwill, the value of their trade name, which you understand. And I based on the available marketing technology software that's out there today, and MarTech is really a bad nomenclature for it at this point, because you can use these tools to build a nerve center where you're constantly learning about what your customers want, what they're looking for, what they don't want, what they don't like, what they do like. And you can be doing that on a daily basis and building the knowledge base of your company. Because if you've learned how to acquire customers more efficiently and economically than your competitor, you've got a digital asset there that very much influences the value of your enterprise. And so we have, I have an operation that I began about 6 months ago, employing graduates of marketing universities in Central America who speak really good English and who we're training on using tools like ChatGPT. We write the scripts for them and they produce the volume of content that the client requires. This volume of content ends up being blog posts or articles that are keyword rich, that are search engine optimized, SEO rich. The pages are structured properly so that they index in Google, so that when people, consumers or business people looking to answer a business question, ask that question in Google or ChatGPT, that it's my client's content that's being displayed high on the search engine return pages, SERPs we call them. And that's the most effective way today to find new clients and to build a clientele in your niche, where you exist and who you're looking for, because that's very much the ability today too, is to find good clients. Not every client is a good client, and you're looking for ones that are good for your business. Does that explain it?
I think so. We're gonna go to break. So if I need to drill down, we'll come back. But you've been listening to Intangify on TalkRadio.nyc, and we'll be right back.
Are you a business owner? Do you want to be a business owner? Do you work with business owners? Hi, I'm Stephen Fry, your small and medium-sized business or SMB guy, and I'm the host of the new show, Always Friday. While I love to have fun on my show, we take those Friday feelings of freedom and clarity to discuss popular topics on the minds of SMBs today. Please join me and my various special guests on Friday at 11 a.m. on TalkRadio.nyc.
Are you a high-achieving, growth-oriented leader? Are you interested in developing your authentic leadership while creating a healthy, inclusive workplace? Hi, I'm Dr. Maurice Bretzfield, host of The Hard Skills on TalkRadio.nyc at 1 p.m. Eastern on Fridays, where we discuss how leaders develop the hard skills needed to make a greater impact. We interview experts, have live coaching, and tackle these challenges. Listen to The Hard Skills on Fridays at 1 p.m. Eastern on TalkRadio.nyc.
What really drives success in business? Introducing Intangify, the show that explores the intangible assets that create value and growth. I'm Matthew Asbell, your host and an attorney focused on innovation. Join me Fridays at noon Eastern to discover how innovation, culture, and other intangibles shape thriving companies from startups to established businesses. We'll share strategies to unleash your business's true potential. Tune in live on TalkRadio.nyc Fridays at noon Eastern and Intangify your business today.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC. Uplift, educate, empower.
Welcome back to Intangify. I'm your host, Matthew Asbell. My guest is Maurice Bretzfield. So just before the break, Maurice, we were talking a little bit, and I think I struggled a little bit with my wording of my question, and you gave an answer that partially addressed what I was trying to get at. But let me see if I can say a little bit more clearly and see what your response will be there. When the business that you're helping doesn't have an obvious, clear target market, how do you address that and help them find the right avenues to reach the varied targets that they might have, that their wide-ranging services might serve?
Yeah, there is very powerful software out there today. I have been advocating for the idea that a marketing department is much more than a marketing department today. It should be the nerve center of the business because of the software tools out there like SEMrush, Hrefs that allow us to do deep research either by domain name, because we can search a competitor, or by keyword. And if we start with a keyword, we can see who's competing in that particular niche, that area, drill down to see what kind of advertising, promotion, what kind of content that they're producing, where it's ranking, where that represents opportunities for us to be better than the competition. This is very powerful software that's existed before the AI rush that started about a year ago now, with ChatGPT being released. And there is the ability to do deep research into any niche, any customer base, any keyword, and identifying opportunities for an individual client to promote themselves.
So that'll be a great segue into one of the topics you brought up earlier, which was the topic of analytics. And you know, I don't know, from my perspective, and I don't know about our listeners, but from my perspective, like on the one hand, the amount of information you can get and how specific it can be is fascinating, right? To understand who is it that's visiting what site and where they come from in the world and all different aspects of them that you can learn from analytics. And at the same time, that like as a human trying to process that data and get valuable action items to take from the data is overwhelming. I'm like, yeah, sure,
Yeah.
very interesting that so and so came to the site. What do I do with that? So how do you counsel, how do you advise your clients in relation to the analytics? You're using these tools, they're useful. How do you help them turn that data into what should I do?
There was a famous Philadelphia retailer back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, by the name of John Wanamaker, and he pioneered daily newspaper advertising for a department store. And he was once asked by a reporter about his newspaper advertising, and he says, "I know that 50% of my advertising works. I just don't know which 50%." And that was the case. Macy's would run an ad in the New York Times, and maybe they saw an uptick in sales of that particular item, but they knew something was working, but not exactly what. With today's tools, we know exactly what's working. Now, I'm sure that amongst some of your listeners, the word cookies has a negative connotation. But cookies allow us as marketers to understand what our visitors, our customers are doing, and allow us to improve our service customer by customer. So, it's no mistake that Google shows you ads that are pertinent to things that you're interested in, as opposed to sitting on the sofa watching TV in the evening and there's a Pampers ad. Well, Pampers are no longer a concern of mine. And it's costing the manufacturer of Pampers just as much money to advertise to me as it is to a woman who's just given birth, for instance, or a young family. And so today we're able to, through these electronic tools, what we call marketing technology tools, to understand precisely what's going on with the customers, what's working, what's not working, where it works, where it doesn't work. Maybe we're good on Instagram, but not Facebook, and maybe Pinterest works for us, but not Instagram. It depends on the client, what they sell, what niche they're in, and where their customers are. And we're able to discover all of this today and create really pinpointed marketing campaigns that reach our target audience. It's all done through analytics. It's all done through the numbers, what we call key performance indicators, KPIs. Choosing which KPIs are appropriate for our business, and then following them to see where our efforts are working and where they're not. There's a concept that came out of the software development industry called agile development. And that's a fascinating, wonderful application for marketing, because we're able to adapt every day based on what the numbers tell us.
So something you said in your response, I think even twice, is looking at those analytics. We can see what is working and what is not. And I guess what that led me, going back to my previous question, is I'm trying to find the action items to do. And maybe I'm overcomplicating things. It sounds like, and I'd love to hear your response.
Hey, you're a lawyer, right?
Well, that's my job. No, it sounds like, you get this data on what's working and on what's not working. And based on that, you're just saying, well, the thing that's working, do more of that, do more things like that. And the thing that's not working, let's not do that platform, or let's do less of that. Is it that? Is it just using those guideposts as what I should do more of and what I should do less of, rather than just sort of doing everything? Is that what the analytics are telling me?
Absolutely. I mean, if radio advertising is working for you or not, You either do it or you don't. If Facebook is working for you, Facebook advertising is working for you, you do more of it. If it's not working, you do less of it and find those places where you have engagement with the potential customers. It's all about engagement. It's not a matter of blasting it out there. It's how people respond to it that we need to understand.
Do you get analytics on the ways they respond to social media posts?
You bet. All right. You got to remember a couple of things about social media, about Facebook, for instance. Facebook has a very powerful search function, and it provides very powerful analytics to its advertisers. So we can see what's working, we run A/B tests. Sometimes a red call to action button outperforms a green one. Well, sometimes it's a green one that outperforms the red one. And so we run parallel tests and we find out which is working for us and which is inducing the clicks from our customers.
But it sounds like that's for an advertisement as opposed to just a post.
A post will give you Instagram, Facebook, all of them give you analytics based on your posts. And it's very easy to determine which ones are getting engagement from customers and which aren't. And so we learn that, this is a topic our customers are interested in, and we create more content, in that vein.
So it is more of this and less of that, largely.
Or
I have been overcomplicating.
All of this and none of that, depending.
Yeah. Okay, well, great. We're going to go to break, and when we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about digital assets. You've been listening to Intangify on TalkRadio.nyc. We'll be right back. What really drives success in business? Introducing Intangify, the show that explores the intangible assets that create value and growth. I'm Matthew Asbell, your host and an attorney focused on innovation. Join me Fridays at noon Eastern to discover how innovation, culture, and other intangibles shape thriving companies from startups to established businesses. We'll share strategies to unleash your business's true potential. Tune in live on TalkRadio.nyc Fridays at noon Eastern and Intangify your business today.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the Nonprofit Sector Connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on TalkRadio.nyc, I host a program, Philanthropy in Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on TalkRadio.nyc.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on TalkRadio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Welcome back to Intangify. I'm your host, Matthew Asbell. My guest is Maurice Bretzfield. Maurice, we've been talking before the break about analytics, but something else you mentioned earlier in the podcast, a few times was digital assets or intangible assets, which of course what this program is about. But when you talk about that term, I think different people have different understandings of what it means. In my line of work, it's all about intellectual property law, which is definitely not what every intangible asset is, but certainly what I deal with all day. I suspect that's not what you mean, or at least not all of what you mean when we say digital assets or intangible assets. So maybe we could start with what are intangible assets from your perspective?
Okay, what's on your balance sheet? All right, what determines the value of your company today? Is what I'm talking about. Is something that is not on your balance sheet can be a huge asset. As I mentioned before, if you know how to acquire customers faster, better, and cheaper than your competition, that's not an asset that goes on your balance sheet, but it certainly increases the value of your enterprise. If you know more about your customers than your competition does, that doesn't go on your balance sheet. It's not a tangible asset, but it's an intangible asset that greatly increases the value of your enterprise. So let's talk in terms of an acquisition. Someone is out there looking for an acquisition in a certain niche, certain business, and it comes time to do due diligence on you and your competition or another company. What distinguishes the value? How can you get a higher value for your company? I maintain that it's through your ability to acquire those kinds of assets that don't necessarily appear on your balance sheet, but make you a far better company. And that's knowledge. It's about the acquisition of knowledge. And your ability to acquire that knowledge using modern technology, MarTech tools, all kinds of other things that are out there today, which are all being enhanced by artificial intelligence. You have the opportunity to build a much more valuable enterprise.
So you've queued up the MarTech stack and the artificial intelligence components of that, which I think we'll get into a little deeper in a bit. But as I was listening to your response, I guess I was thinking about what triggers the differences in meanings that different people have, and listening to your response, what you're calling intangible assets sounds to me like things that are very qualitative in nature, that like know-how, things that you can't necessarily put down, convert in some way into something that could be qualified as an asset you could put on your balance sheet. In my world, in intellectual property, right, I take these types of things, often which are seemingly intangible, but then I will register them or obtain rights, which allows you to get something you can refer to on a balance sheet. Mm-hmm. It becomes tangible because it's now there's a document with a number that refers to this patent or this registration number for the trademark or the copyright, and you can transact using those numbers, that information. And I think listening to you, you're more focused on the underlying thing, whether or not it could be converted into something that could be on a balance sheet or not. It's about the qualitative stuff that you need in order to be a better employee, be a better business, compete with your competitors better because you have certain skills or knowledge or experience that is unquantifiable. Is that fair?
Correct. Knowledge. How do you quantify knowledge? I don't think accounting is caught up with the changes that have taken place in business. I think we're still using old accounting methods and principles that don't include what you call Intangify, what I call intangible assets, that don't include knowledge, the knowledge that a company has about how to operate more smoothly, how to operate more efficiently, how to acquire customers cheaper and quicker, and retain those customers because of the knowledge that you have about how to satisfy them and how to keep them happy. all the data is out there today. You can use marketing technology to tell us where to go, how to acquire customers, how to learn about our customers, how to learn about our competitors' customers, how to learn about what people are actually seeking, what they want, and delivering it to them. And that, to me, is a huge corporate asset that is not necessarily on the balance sheet. I don't know how to put it on a balance sheet. Maybe you do.
I'll let you know.
Yeah. I mean, to me,
Or
it's
maybe I won't.
to me, unless I pay you. To me, it's a huge issue. It really is. And I think that's how you distinguish a company today. I mean, most companies don't have plant and equipment anymore. We have a few desks and some computers, a computer costs, you can buy a Chromebook for $300 today. Pay Google, $18 a month to host your documents for you. We don't even have file cabinets anymore. Right? So where is the value in your enterprise?
Yeah.
That's my point.
But I think I'm still on this kick about quantitative versus qualitative.
Okay.
As I was thinking, because on one hand, the earlier part of the program, we were talking about analytics, quantitative data, right? And how that would fuel what steps we might take and or no longer take, or what direction we might go in.
All right. For 109, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I was going to say, for $119 a month, you can subscribe to a service like SEMrush, SEMRUSH.com. It's available to anybody for $119 a month. Okay. But the value is in how you use it and how you learn to use it and how you learn to extract pertinent information from it. And that's a quantitative difference.
There's a qualitative difference.
Qualitative difference.
Yeah, because the quantitative stuff is the data you get from that.
Sorry, qualitative difference. Got it. So what distinguishes you from the guy sitting next to you at this conference you just went to, and you're in the same business, is your ability to understand the data, to acquire the data, and apply the data to what you're doing better than he does. And how you educate your workforce. All right, how you build a knowledge base within the company. To empower your employees to learn more and to apply more.
Well, that goes back to what you're saying in the very beginning about how you approach your clientele.
Correct.
Right.
My job,
how do you help them to self-help? Right.
My job is to train your staff to become more knowledgeable than your competition. I want to lay out a plan for you, educate your people, apply, you can extend your workforce today very inexpensively. There are bright young people all over the world today who are willing to work remotely for far less than it costs to employ people in the US. I hate to say it, but it's true. We're at maximum employment in this country right now, and so we need to supplement our workforces. And instead of paying, all the extra costs that come with employment today, there's ways to use remote talent to do a lot of the process work that contributes to your knowledge base. Again, it's about being smarter than the competition. And I don't know how to quantify that on a balance sheet.
Yeah, the only other reaction I have to your comments, which I'll see what you have to say, is that the people like me are worrying about what information you're going to pass from one border to another, right? Crossing from one country to another to take advantage of the labor force there, and will that put your rights and your assets at risk by the fact that you share it across borders without necessarily protecting yourself.
There's plenty of ways to do that. Okay. You don't give remote workers access to your production servers. You only give them access to your staging servers, which you can cut off anytime. There's all kinds of methodologies to ensure that, and if somebody's going to steal an article that they've written for your customer, they're going to steal the article, and what are they going to do with it? You're out there first with it anyway, and you've got a copyright notice on it, and we can get into whether that you can inform me better whether that protects it or not. But as an entrepreneur, my concern is getting to market before my competition. I have never worried about competition. One of the most wonderful business books I've ever read is a book by a guy by the name of Edward de Bono. He was very prolific, and he wrote a book called Surpetition, Surpetition. And what he talks about in Surpetition is surpassing the competition, never looking back and staying a step ahead. Never looking over your shoulder. Don't worry about what your competition is doing. Just be better every day than your competitor, and don't worry about it. Listen, I come from a background of business, the apparel business, where everybody is copying everybody all the time. And it didn't matter what I did today or yesterday. It only was going to matter what I did tomorrow to stay ahead of my competition. And that's the background. That's the entrepreneurial background I come from. If I had to wait to protect everything before I put it to market, I wouldn't be in business.
That makes a lot of sense. I think we're going to use that and transition into artificial intelligence when we come back. But let's go to a break. You've been listening to Intangify on TalkRadio.nyc, and we'll be right back.
Are you passionate about the conversation around racism? Hi, I'm Reverend Dr. TLC, host of the Dismantle Racism Show, which every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern on TalkRadio.nyc. Join me and my amazing guests as we discuss ways to uncover, dismantle, and eradicate racism. That's Thursdays at 11 o'clock a.m. on TalkRadio.nyc.
In a post-COVID world, you may have many unanswered questions regarding your health. Are you looking to live a healthier lifestyle? Do you have a desire to learn more about